Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Eco Culture, where not only does Loritza continue her dancing, but we learn to be part of the solution. I've been learning on this journey because I'm brand new to this, but I think it's a valuable lesson to learn, and I'm excited to be a part of this thing where we're actually taking responsibility for our actions and our usage, and we're trying to literally make the world a better place. As you know, Laritza is here, but we also have another guest. And Laritza, I'm going to let you take it from there because Tia, the other guest, and we've never met. I don't know anything about Tia other than she's lovely.
Yeah, so everybody, welcome Tia to our programming. She is going to be joining Novare Films and participating in some of their endeavors. And we'd like to introduce her to the world and get to know her. So, Tia, please tell us who you are. I had the absolute pleasure to meet her previously, and they are an amazing soul. So I'm happy that you guys get to meet them. This is Tia, take it away. Let us know who you are. Hello.
Hi. Yeah, I'm very excited to be a part of this as well. Everything Jonathan was saying about just, being more mindful and conscious is something I've been really passionate about for quite some time now. So getting the opportunity to be a part of this is absolutely amazing. And I'll get into how later. First of all, do a little
Yes.
introduction on me, I guess. So, my name's Tia. I have Jamaican Irish parents, so I'm about 67% West African technically because we all came from there, and yeah, about what does that make? 33% Irish. I was born in England though, and I lived there till I was about 11 years old. And then my mom moved to Spain, so I went with her. And then I did middle school and high school out there in Spain. It was a British international school. Um, so quite young, got used to like different cultures, different environments, being around a lot of international people really definitely opened up my mind for sure. I kind of hated her at the time for moving me there, but now I realize that was probably one of the best things she could have done for me.
Mm-hmm.
So then high school, towards the end when we got to choose our subjects, I remember being torn between art and science. For some reason, I wasn't allowed to do both, and that was really frustrating to me. And later at university, ended up doing industrial design, where you can perfectly fuse those two. So it all made sense later. But yeah, I was very frustrated at school, and then I ended up doing well, I picked art, and then me and the teacher didn't get along very well, so I didn't manage to finish that. But then later on, yeah, the end of high school, I did travel and tourism and geography. So again, my mom's decision to move me probably led to that. And then yeah, I did 1 year of anthropology at university in London, and that was a lot of fun. But I think I went there kind of wanting answers to a lot of life's questions. So, like, why do we do the things we do? Like, what, traditions do we have? How are they still being upheld? Religion, why do some people believe in one and some people believe in
Mm-hmm.
another? And anthropology was very much teaching me how to ask the right questions. But I felt like I was already asking them. I was there for answers. So after a year, I was like, yeah, maybe this is not what I thought it was going to be. And that's when I found industrial design, which I'm super passionate about. And while I was there, they talked a lot about sustainability. And up until that point, I heard about sort of global warming and things like that, but I didn't really like it didn't resonate with me. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, well, I feel like that's large corporations' problem. That's not really my problem. Like, what can I do as like a individual
Mm-hmm.
person? But then, yeah, obviously, if you're kind of planning to be an industrial designer, that does become your problem because you're designing these products, you're getting them out to the consumer, and then
Yes.
is really your responsibility to make sure that the consumer knows how to dispose of those products in the best way to keep them from just ending up in a landfill or whatever, or polluting the water system. So that's when I started to become very passionate about it. And then had a little family crisis, which kind of sparked like a spiritual awakening for me. And I really got into yoga and meditation at that point. Now I'm twice certified yoga teacher. And part of yogic principles is that, like do no harm and kind of being conscious and aware of your actions and how they have consequences and stuff like that. So the fusion of that, like the industrial designer brain, very like calculating and kind of like, okay, what actionable steps can we take? And then the yogic side of the more spiritual and emotional just really got me feeling very, very passionate um about the world as a whole, the direction it's going in and like what can we do? And so after university, I went to Thailand to study permaculture. And yeah, so I did a permaculture design course.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, it was amazing. I really enjoyed it, and it was something I felt that I could do to kind of go against the system, right? So that's when I was getting into like, okay, so the food that we're eating, can we even trust the food that we're eating from these large supermarkets, these supermarket chains, maybe a local greengrocer or a local farmer, you might be able to really know if it's organic even when it says it is. But one step further than that, just grow your own food, right? So I went and I learned how to grow food using the least space possible and really planting things that grow well together that help each other. So a great example is the three sisters, beans, corn, and squash. So the squash covers the ground to keep the soil moist. The bean creates a pole, and the corn creates a pole and the bean grows up the corn. So they grow really well together. You can really maximize the space. So little tricks like that from the permaculture design course. And then 1 week was natural building as well. So I learned how to do a couple of different building structures using all natural and recycled materials. I say all. You do want to use maybe 5-10% concrete. Outside of that, everything else is all natural materials. So they taught me how to make adobe bricks using soil mostly and sand. We did like hay bale homes, a few different really, really cool structures. And so then few years after that, I'm on Instagram. Well, sorry, before that, I learned in Thailand and then I went to Tanzania to use some of the skills that I learned when I was out in Thailand. And so while I was in Thailand, I was posting on social media, and one of my friends reached out and was like, hey, we have an orphanage in Tanzania. Would you want to come out here and help us to implement some of these permaculture things that you've been learning? We do have a couple of edible plants in the yard, but we would really like to get like a food garden going. So, of course, I jumped at the opportunity. I went there and I helped them to develop, like a herb spiral, a couple different things in the garden. And I was saying to Loritza when we first met last time, I really enjoyed kind of getting the kids involved as well. I think some of the people who had been implementing some of that stuff before had just kind of done it and not really like taught the people that were living there. And I think it's good, when you do things like that to make sure that it's like when they say, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, teach a man to fish, and he'll eat for a lifetime. So I really wanted to make sure that they were involved. And yeah, I had a great time out there, posted about that. And then I think a couple years later, me and Anna got in touch on Instagram. Um, and she had created an Instagram page that wanted to like showcase cool female queer women, I don't know. I should be gender neutral. It's 2026. But people, feminine presenting people in the queer community, I guess. And yeah, and she reached out and she was like, hey, would you want me to do a little post on you and things that you're doing? And I was like, yeah, that would be really cool. I'm always open to like promoting, sustainability and things that we can do. And yeah, then we just kept in touch. And now she's like, hey, we're starting this whole eco journey. Do you want to be a part of it? And I'm like, absolutely. Yeah. So here we are. I
Here
don't,
we are.
yeah.
I want to ask you something though. Um, it looks like you are one of the most well-traveled people I've ever met in my life. England, Spain, Thailand, Tanzania, which I don't even know where that would be. Uh, and then clearly Vegas.
Oh, yeah. I'm in Vegas. Yeah.
Being such a world
Now she's here.
traveler, do you think that plays a big role in your focus on sustainability and taking care of the earth because you've seen so much of it?
Probably. Yeah, I think so. I think like just yeah, seeing different cultures, seeing the way they do different things. I remember last time we were talking about even when it comes to recycling. So when I was in Milan at university and I'm in these lectures and they're teaching me about sustainability, I move into
Milan.
this apartment building and they're like, you have to recycle. We will fine you if you don't. And I'm like, how are they even going to know? You know, in Spain, we have like these big communal sort of dumpsters. Each street has one, and you are responsible for yourself, basically. If you don't want to recycle, you put it in the mixed bin. If you want to, there's, a yellow one for your plastic and aluminium, one for your paper, one for your glass, and then everything else just goes in the other one. And it's kind of up to you, but it's nice that you have the option, right? In Milan, it's like you must. We're going to give you a bin to put your food waste in, and that goes on your kitchen counter. And then you're going to separate, yeah, your plastics, your aluminum, your glass, and everything. So just even being exposed to things like that, the different way they do things. When I was in um, Thailand and Tanzania, a lot of them were not really recycling. They don't really have like the places I was, of course, in the major cities, they have a whole different system. I was very rural, both in Thailand and Tanzania. So people living out there, they just burn their trash, which,
Wow.
okay, it doesn't end up in a landfill, but all that waste gas and stuff, it can't be
Yeah.
either. So it just gets you thinking, like what everyone's doing, what works well, what doesn't, and how can we kind of get better options to more people. Yeah. And
Especially in the rural areas. Like, I guess we have to talk about like what can they do in those rural areas. And one other thing I wanted to ask you about was you said you learned how to grow the maximum amount of food in the smallest amount of space. And a lot of people live in apartments, or maybe they just have a little balcony. So, what would you say to them? Like, what kind of food would you give people advice to grow there? Because I feel like if you have even a porch or something, like maybe that's an opportunity to grow something.
definitely, definitely. So great way to start is like a little herb garden. And even if you don't have outside space, you can just put that in your kitchen if you have a window, or you can get the little lights to simulate the natural light. And that's a really great way to start. I will say, depending on which seeds you get, they're not always as easy as they would seem. We've been trying to grow, and I'm gonna say basil because I'm British. I know you guys probably say basil, but
We do.
we've been trying to grow basil, and it when you get it, when you get the right seeds, basil's really hard to stop growing. It's like tomato, it just keeps dropping seeds and it will just keep sprouting. But the ones that you get at the supermarket, let's say you buy a basil plant at Trader Joe's, for example, no shade, but that's where we bought ours. It won't regrow, it won't reproduce. A lot of times they're providing the male plants that don't produce seeds, and so you can't keep growing them.
Mhm.
So just make sure to get the right seeds. But yeah, a great way to start would be just a herb garden, things you use every day, maybe basil, oregano, mint, thyme, things like that. They're quite easy to grow. And if you do have the lights and do a little bit of research on what kind of soil they want, some prefer drier, some prefer denser. So you just got to look into that and make sure you put the right ones next to each other. But yeah, pretty easy way to start. And then if you do have a balcony, tomatoes grow great in a lot of different climates. But that's one thing I've learned from traveling is that different climates, there's so many plants that you would assume grow everywhere that maybe don't. Being in Vegas in the desert has definitely been a new challenge. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's things you can grow for sure.
So, what finally brought you to Engineering Paradise? I know you said you met Anna, who's another one of the executive producers at Navarre Films. What brought you into this particular project, Engineering Paradise? And then what will you be doing for this project?
As far as I'm aware, it's all quite new. I'll be doing a few interviews based on my more kind of technical knowledge on the building and design side of things. And then later on, Loritza and I will be doing the world we wear. Very,
Oh, you guys are doing that together.
yeah.
Yes, I can't wait for that. Like, I'm so excited about that because we get to talk about sustainability in the fashion world and approach it from that kind of conversation. And that's such a big beast of an issue in itself that I just can't wait to like share what we know and like our feedback from our experiences and just yeah, spread the word and just talk about it. Just talk about it, Like I can't wait.
It
That's gonna
sounds
be
like
good.
that's
That's
going
gonna
to
be good.
be it sounds like that's going to be a show not to miss for people who are into fashion, but also sustainability. I don't think a lot of people connect the two.
Well, the fashion industry is one of the biggest polluters we have on this planet. And that being because a lot of things that we have are fast fashion. So you wear a garment maybe a few times and then you toss it into the landfill. And that's a big, big problem in our society because we're consumers, and consumerism is one of the reasons that we have fast fashion because there is such a demand and things are getting cheaper and they're getting quicker to access, and it's almost become like a slow like an avalanche of influx of accessibility. So it's very easy to get whatever you want whenever you want. And because the demand is so high, people don't really look at the back end, which is the back end. There's a lot of waste that happens, and a lot of waste and dangerous thing that happens on the front end of fashion too. So we're going to talk about some of those things in the world we wear. Some of the topics are like taking a look at the dyes that we put into our clothing and how they're harming people and what you can do to become aware of what you're putting on your body, what's going into your skin. It's a whole world and a whole rainbow. There's just so much we can speak on. It is a Novari film show that definitely is on everyone's radar. Everyone I've had an opportunity to speak on it about gets really excited and they want to hear what we have to put down. And I'm excited to have Tia on here too, because when I talk about these things, it's really good to have somebody who's been involved in the industry that can give me feedback. And so, Tia, if you could tell us a little bit about your fashion background and why you fit the bill for the world we wear.
hmm So, I did industrial design at university, which is primarily furniture, but we do have a lot of crossover with fashion, interior, and stuff like that. So we did lectures on the history of design, um, you know, art history. Then we would do like materials typology, and of course, materials for, sofa is not really going to be the same as clothes, but you
The
know,
textile industry, yeah.
yeah, textiles at least is something that does cross over between the two. So yeah, I have a little bit of a background in that, and then just kind of the design process I think is kind of similar, at least for the concept part, and even creating a model or whatever, and things like that.
Mhm.
So I have an understanding and an interest, a bit of a passion, I like to keep keep my head in the loop, I guess, of like what's happening in the fashion
Mhm.
industry, and especially being passionate about sustainability. I feel like it's something that you do have to kind of look into, and if you want to be more conscious about what you're buying and how you're impacting the environment, then fashion is definitely something you start to look at as well. And I know Jonathan said like a lot of people don't really put sustainability and fashion together, but I think that depending, which circles you're moving in, it does become quite a topic. And then, everyone's sharing like, oh, well, I found this brand and, they have this initiative. And so I did start to look more into like even just buying clothes secondhand as an option, because at least it's been worn once, instead of like fresh out the factory, fresh into the landfill, gives the clothes like a second life. And then I did do some modeling as well in my late 20s, early 30s. I just reached mid 30s. So yeah, I'm still signed to a couple agencies, but the Vegas modeling scene is not really my jam. I did think I might go to LA and stuff and do some modeling out there, but for now I'm working events. But so yeah, having been in the modeling world, I did see I do have a little knowledge on that side of things as well. I mostly did commercial modeling, so I wasn't really doing like high fashion or runway or anything like that. But definitely did get a little peek into that world. Yeah, so it will be something that we can discuss on the
Yeah,
podcast.
well, now you're going to have the opportunity to model all these amazing things that we're going to see around the world from like local artisans. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then I feel like Tia, you also bring to the table that I have a sense from you that you have a hunger for knowledge, that you
Mhm.
like want to know why are we this way as
Mhm.
humans. And that's kind of what the show is exploring. Like, why are we this way with fashion? Like, what are we doing here from the start to the end? Like, what are we doing here? So
Yeah.
I think like exploring the human experience is pivotal to the show. But I also feel like a part of the world we wear and a part of engineering paradise that's all part of Novari Films is, why are we as humans doing this? But how can we do it so that we don't hurt the planet along the way? Like, how can we do it so that we care for one another in the process? So I feel like that kind of like encompasses the theme of both of those is like, hey, yes, we're doing this grand thing, but at the end of the day, we want to give back and we want to care for the planet, and that's why we're all here at
And I
the end
think
of
we're also here to make that attainable. It's attainable
yes,
sustainability.
you can
No one is
do
right.
it.
No one is saying, hey, if you really want to make a difference, go build your own home tomorrow and
Mm.
use, the solar panels and whatever. I'm still learning about these things. Solar panels. What was the other thing that to get rid of waste, like food waste, you use don't tell me.
Oh, oh,
Renee had mentioned it. Hold on. It is a compost.
Yes.
See,
yes, you got
I'm
it.
I'm getting there.
Composting.
I'm learning.
You
Yes,
got it.
and I'm going to teach you
Sometimes
how to do the button thing. That's part of sustainability too.
there you go. Loritza is going to teach me how to sew. I've never sewn a button
Yes.
in my life. She's going to teach me. I'm eager to learn this. But I think what's important for people like me who are just kind of starting this journey is to make it somewhat easy, something that I can
Yeah.
accomplish in one moment, in one day. So I feel like I achieved something. And
Mhm.
fashion seems to be a place where that's easily achievable.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we had talked about before, Jonathan, was the simplest thing you can do would probably be try to reinvent the clothing that you have. And I know that that seems really lowbrow because you're like, well, duh, everybody could do that. But I feel like it's something that styling plays a part in. Like sometimes people have amazing pieces in their wardrobe already, but they don't know necessarily how to elevate what they have with the things they already have, if that makes sense.
It does.
Okay, so that's like a easy step one, attainable thing that everybody can do in one day. We can always get into a deeper conversation of what that looks like or how to go about that, but there are solutions that we're trying to offer here. So stick around, and we're going to continue to talk about solutions for all the topics we bring to the table, because we love you guys. We don't want to leave you hanging. And we have
Right.
amazing experts like Tia on our team now.
We do. And I want to know from Tia, being in Vegas, but having traveled the world, who's got it figured out? What country does it in the best possible way?
Oh, well, I will say my stepdad is Danish. I used to spend Christmases there. That's one country on my list that we haven't
I'm
covered
gonna, I have a list. I'm gonna write it down. So far, you got England,
yet.
Spain, Vegas, Thailand, Tanzania, Milan, and now where? What is
Denmark.
Danish? Denmark.
Yeah. So they score pretty pretty highly on the world's happiest country every year.
Really?
And it's surprising to me because it's cold and it's dark and it's snowy, obviously they have summers, but the winter is very cold, it's very snowy. But the people are happy, and one of the things that they excel in is sustainability. They're one of the forerunners with that. They've been recycling for a very long time. They cycle everywhere, so that reduces a lot of pollution from cars and stuff like that. They're just conscious of things. I think it's just a part of their culture. They like when they give gifts, a lot of times they'll upcycle and they'll recycle things, and that's just the way that they are. Like that's a passion of theirs, and they want that. When they go to a store and they're looking for things to purchase, they're looking for sustainable materials being used, or is it recycled? Has it been recycled, or is it recyclable? These are just things that they actually care about. And so most of their supermarkets, even the packaging that they use, is already, and this is like, years before a lot of places are just now getting started with this stuff. So I think they do really well. I think they do really well.
So look to the Danish as an example.
What
Definitely,
what's
definitely. The
kept
clothes
us
they
from
wear,
getting there?
their style is very like minimalist as well, so for someone who likes a lot of colors and patterns and stuff like that, it might not be great, but sustainable wise, it definitely makes more sense to go for, more minimal, I think,
Sure.
personally.
Why has the US not started to adopt some of those, I don't know,
Mm,
systems?
that's a really, really, really good conversation that could probably take a very long time.
Well, we only have three
Mostly,
minutes.
yeah, I'll try and keep it
Tell us how to
short.
fix it. Yeah, tell us how to fix it. No pressure. No pressure. 2 minutes. No.
Mostly, mostly because the US is more of a business than a society or a community. I think looking at the current president and his goals and his vision for the country, we can see that he's more interested in profit and global domination and things like that than he is really about the future of the planet, scientifically speaking and, eco-wise, right? Um, there's no incentive for most companies to look into sustainability and having better packaging and stuff like that. If it's not the cheapest option that they can mass produce the most, and I can respect trying to provide your product to as many people as possible if it's really benefiting their lives. But when we're talking about single-use products and, even plastic straws, they've been banned in a lot of countries and they're still very much going around here. You go to the fast food place, they're giving you like 5 packs of sauce and 17 serviettes. Like, why do we need that much? Like, it's not. Okay, so why is America not? Yeah, because profit is primarily the goal. And a lot of these sustainability initiatives do incur some costs to get them going. Like in the long run, usually they do save money, but there's no immediate kind of profit there for most businesses. I think, in
I think
short.
that makes a lot of sense. I think that was
It
actually
does.
a really good
Mhm.
answer
Mhm.
um, for something that could have taken, an entire episode. We did it in three
Yeah,
minutes. I do
is
want to give people a chance to see some of your work, whether it's design work or anything else that you've been working on. Is there a place people can go to see some of this? You can
mm,
say no.
not really, no.
Okay.
That's some food for thought. Maybe I can get a little. I mean, I have a modeling portfolio online. It's got some of my photos, and some of the commercials that I was in, and then some of
Okay.
the events that I've been working, as a brand ambassador.
hmm
That's something you could check out.
I
My
can
my
I connect and
Instagram
relate
is
to you on
pretty
that because
cool.
commercials typically what I do for a living. So I understand how like having that portfolio is important. I can also say I don't know if you want everybody in the world looking at your modeling pictures in your portfolio, but you're welcome to get that info out there if you want to.
Okay, well, my website is tiapalmer.me. That's my website. You can check that out. It's got, yeah, a couple of my photos. Yeah, the some of the events I've worked, and I'll have a link to my Instagram as well, which I think my Instagram is pretty cool. There's some interesting posts on there about like my yoga journey. I have a very small yoga Instagram as well that I started building and then had to kind of pause for a minute when I moved across the world and had to figure my life out. But I'll probably start posting on there again soon. Um, yeah, there's some interesting posts. I'm into like cymatics and esoteric things. So if you dig
I'm
into posts
sorry.
on
You're
my
into what?
Instagram,
I
um,
love cymatics too. I think it's pretty interesting.
What
It's
is that?
fascinating.
if you haven't heard of it, you gotta go Google it right now. It just is like a visual representation of how everything is energy.
Hmm.
Everything is energy, everything is vibrations, everything comes down to frequency and vibrations. And your vibe attracts your tribe. And just when you see it, it's like everything makes sense. So they put basically they'll put sand on like a metal plate. This is how they classically do it. And then they'll just start to put some frequencies through the metal, either with like it looks like a violin bow, and then the sand just starts to kind of form in these different geometric shapes. And they say that's similar to the way that particles work. That's how you know
Hmm.
what do you call it, those icicles,
It's,
or
yeah, it's
all
yeah,
the fractals in nature. That's kind of how they come about, is through
yeah.
fission.
Basically, if you want to, in a really quick nutshell, Jonathan, it's the visualization of frequency and what it means. Like, so people can, when you hear different pitch, it has a different shape actually, and that's what cymatic demonstrates. Is that all these frequencies have such a different range that they're actually shaping. They're actually shaped differently. They don't. They're not only look differently. They're shaped differently as well, and they
Is
show it
that
through visualizations.
Is that kind
Mm-hmm.
of like those videos I've seen where they'll have a microscope on a water molecule or something, and they'll play classical music, and it looks gorgeous and it's got smooth lines, and they'll play heavy metal or something, and it's all jagged. Is that what cymatics is? Am I connecting the
Yeah,
right dots
it
there?
explains that. It explains that. Yeah, it explains what. Yeah, like why is it changing is because the frequency is changing, and that's so you're getting a different visual. Hmm.
There's so much to learn. There's so much to study, but there's so much to love about this. It's really interesting stuff,
Yeah.
and we get to learn this stuff with really interesting people like Tia Palmer. So if you want to learn more about Tia, what she's doing, where she's doing it, how she's doing it, who she's doing it for and with, go to tiapalmer.me. Also, check out navarrefilmsllc.com. Thank you for joining us today on Eco Culture, where we're learning
Thank
to be
you.
part of the solution. Jonathan and Tia and Loritza saying see you next time.